Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win, you find a way to lose. Just how far can Ngannou go in boxing? That's the question. When you think about Francis Ngannou, they called him the Predator when he was fighting over there in the MMA world. He had 17 wins, 3 losses, man. We know that when it comes to Francis Ngannou, if he touches you, he can put you out, right? He's got the power. And that's why when it comes to boxing, he's such an interesting, and I'm going to call him a prospect, man. I understand what he did over there in the UFC. He worked on his ground game and to give himself a better chance against grapplers and wrestlers and to defend against what I would say a ground and pound, because once he would find himself in situations where a good wrestler got a hold of him, a good jiu-jitsu experienced fighter got a hold of him, there was concern that Francis Ngannou wasn't that great in those kind of tie-ups and ended up on the ground. But he obviously evolved his game when he got in there with that guy Cyril and ended up beating him kind of at his own game, which required a lot of grappling and just being effective when the fight's taken to the ground. But that being said, all this 17 wins and three losses in the MMA world doesn't necessarily mean that the 6'4", 6'5", 260-pound Ngannou is going to come over to the boxing world and have the same success, right? And when I tell you this, I don't say this in a way to try to break down Ngannou and take away from his performance against Tyson Fury. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know I like to talk boxing. You know, sometimes I'll make some jokes. I may take the truth and, you know, put my own twist on it. But one thing I'm going to tell you is when we take a look at this, let me reduce the size of this for you guys, right? Make that a little bit bigger, okay? But when we come and we take a look at this right here now, without taking it to the stupid, right? We got to be honest. Francis Ngannou, he was doing some things in there that were pretty effective, but let's just be real about the conversation. I've done all kind of YouTube shorts and, you know, with Tyson Fury and poking at him and stuff like that. But let's just be totally real here. Tyson Fury never really looks in shape when he gets in the ring, okay? And one thing I'm going to tell you, for everybody who was saying Tyson Fury wasn't in shape, he took him lightly. Understand this, if Tyson Fury wasn't in shape, Tyson Fury wouldn't have been able to go those 10 rounds, all right? So, look, you got to give Tyson Fury some credit for being in shape, and you got to say that Francis Ngannou went a full 10 rounds against an in-shape Tyson Fury. Now, one thing I will say, and look, this is just a conversation. Tyson Fury did look like he had low energy. Doesn't mean he wasn't in shape. It's like he just didn't have, I put it to you this way. I can remember back in the day when I was working, you know what I'm saying? Before I retired, even now. But especially when I was working in, you know, you get to work in the morning. Sometimes, man, you know, I would be going in there off of like 5 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, man. Especially when my kids were being born, to help out my wife. I'd be going there on fumes, and I would have low energy, but I would find myself to a cup of coffee, and when I would take that cup of coffee, I would find a surge in energy, and I could find myself making it throughout the end of the day and actually being in meetings and not falling asleep. So I look at Tyson Fury. He just looked to me like he had, going on a stretch of the fight, like he had kind of fallen asleep. He didn't look like he had that surge of energy he needed to really finish strong like he did against Deontay Wilder. So it makes me wonder, what the hell didn't Tyson Fury incorporate into his preparations that resulted in him having what I would say kind of like low energy throughout those rounds and not being able to really put his foot on the gas and step to Francis Ngannou, especially when Francis Ngannou's punch output started to reduce and Ngannou looked like he was getting a bit fatigued. And that's a serious question, right? Some people say, oh, well, Tyson Fury may have been on the cocktail, the illegal one. I'm going to tell you this, whether it's legal or illegal, I don't know if he had the cocktail in him. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if he had that pharmaceutical genius in his corner this time that was giving him the kind of supplementation strategy that he needed to get in there and push strong, especially the second half of the fight. Remember, just because a fighter takes a cocktail doesn't mean it's illegal. There's a lot of legal supplements that fighters can take and legal drugs that they can take. Now, when I say legal, it just means they're not banned by VADA, they're not banned by USADA, they're not banned by any of these doping agencies, right? So if it's not on their list, fighters can take it. Okay, to me that's such a damn gray area, but it is what it is. So if he didn't have that if he didn't utilize that strategy going into the fight, that could explain why he looked a bit lackluster in the fight. He never looked bored. As a matter of fact, especially after he got knocked down, Tyson Fury looked more like, oh, what the hell was that? That's that, F around to find out expression he had in his face. But let's understand this. Francis Ngannou against Alexander Usyk. I've heard people say, Ngannou would knock him out. He would go to the body. Ngannou would get inside of his punches. Ngannou, what are we talking about? Muhammad Ali here? Francis Ngannou is not no damn Muhammad Ali. How the hell is Francis Ngannou going to start floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee against Alexander Usyk? Alexander Usyk is like a little, what they describe him as, a rabbit? I call him the coochie coo man. He gets in the ring, he'll coochie coo you over 12 rounds. Tickle you here, tickle you there, tickle you here, tickle you there. Next thing you know, you got yourself outpointed, or you walk into something and find yourself getting buzzed by this guy who shouldn't be able to hurt you. And Usyk's cool with getting himself to 12 rounds and winning a fight. So I'm not sure Ngannou could beat Usyk. I'm just being honest with you. I know Mike Tyson did work with him, and Mike Tyson deserves credit for helping Ngannou to stay poised and stay calm, and all the sparring you put him through and the training you put him through to prepare him for getting in the ring with Tyson Fury. And the fact that Ngannou just has a good set of whiskers on him, right? But let's be real, Ngannou against Usyk. I don't think Ngannou can beat him. Okay, so as far as how far he can go in boxing, I just don't think he beats Usyk. So depending on who ends up becoming undisputed, if Usyk becomes undisputed, I just don't think Ngannou can do it. Right? That's just my opinion. When I look at it, we talk skill set, right? And we're talking about just, being realistic as far as the potential of a fighter. Ngannou hasn't shown me enough of anything as a boxer for me to come down and say he's now going to be at the top of the heavyweight division. That's why he hasn't been ranked by the WBC yet. All that talk sounds good, but how you just going to leapfrog everybody? He's got to put some work in. And that fight he had with Tyson Fury, we know that was a one-off. That wasn't, we're going to have him fight Tyson Fury over everyone else because he's the best boxer next to Tyson Fury. No. The crossover bout, it was a freak show, it was an exhibition. It is what it is. He got paid big money. Tyson Fury got paid big money. The Saudis are able to use those results to grow their profile out there in Saudi Arabia to get people to see Saudi Arabia as a destination, right? So, moving forward. We already talked about Tyson Fury and Ngannou. I personally think there were some other things going on with Tyson Fury, but I can tell you from experience, when you get hit hard in a fight, it makes you think twice and it can reduce your punch output. That's why Tyson Fury had one of the lowest punch output since he fought Vladimir Klitschko. Now, Francis Ngannou against Deontay Wilder. I think Deontay Wilder knocks him out in one round. I'll be honest with you. Francis Ngannou can't be coming in there with the chicken wings, And what I mean is he got his elbows sticking out to the side. He can't sit there and get his elbows down to protect his ribs. He can't hold his hands up. He has a super long arm, so that will give him an advantage against anybody who doesn't have that reach. But Wilder has an equivalent reach, maybe a little bit more. I think Ngannou's like 83. Wilder's closer to Fury, closer to like 84, 85. But the problem here is straight punches. And I think straight punches wins the fight. And I think Wilder is the guy who throws the straighter punches. And I think he'll get there to Ngannou's chin. His fist will faster than Ngannou's will get to Wilder's. The problem is Wilder's defense is just basically sticking his arm straight out and just trying to create distance. And with a guy like Ngannou who has only like an inch less in reach than Wilder and 2 inches less in reach than Fury, if he throws a shot, he can touch Wilder. Okay? And Francis Ngannou obviously hits hard. So he would have a chance, but if you ask me who I favor, I'd have to favor Wilder. So there you go. He doesn't beat Usyk. If he was to ever fight Fury again, he would never beat Fury. If he fights Wilder, I just don't think he can beat Wilder. Now, Anthony Joshua, I'd have to say he'd have a tough time with AJ, but the way AJ's fighting right now, I think Ngannou could get him, especially if he steps to him. Because AJ's not really committing on his shots. He's afraid to really let those big, Nigerian bombs go. I don't know why. Well, I mean, we know why. But at this point, I don't know why he's not doing it, especially when he was in there against guys who he could have tranquilized and got out the ring within one round. So Anthony Joshua, as long as he still has these mental health issues and challenges and going in dark rooms and getting spooked by the boogeyman, I would always say him against Ngannou, at least right now, to me, that's a 50-50 fight. But if AJ seems to get it all together mentally, I think AJ could tranquilize Ngannou. I really do. AJ is an exceptional boxer, exceptional skill set with extreme power. Ngannou should not even think about getting in the ring with no guy like Anthony Joshua. But if Anthony Joshua's in there getting cute and being afraid to let shots go, Ngannou could end up stumbling across some lucky shot and knock Anthony Joshua out. And that's why I think it's a 50-50. Now, Zhelei Zhang kills Ngannou. I'm telling you right now, Zhang not afraid of nothing. You know, Chinese people, man, they're not afraid of anything. I had a bunch of partners growing up, man. Some of them dudes were Chinese. Some of them, the mother was Chinese, dad was white. Dad was Chinese, mother was black. You know, mother Chinese, father black. You know, all of us grew up, you know, all of us kind of different cultural backgrounds. And let me tell you something, man. The Chinese people, man, they ain't running from nothing, man. It's like them dudes from the Middle East. They ain't afraid of nothing. You come out there with your pants sagging and all that shit, they ain't afraid. They will chop your ass up. And Zhang, that's what he does in the ring. He chops you up with that left hand and that right hook. I think he'll get in there Zhang. He'll just be moving Ngannou into the shots he wants. Ngannou will throw some wide shot and he'll be getting bing-binged. Zhang stops him. I give it, Ngannou got a chin. I give it 1 round. I give it until when Zhang lets those shots go. 1-2 rounds maybe. But when Zhang hits him, I just think the referee will have to jump in and save Ngannou from himself because I just don't think he'll know what to do when you got a southpaw, powerful southpaw like Zhang coming in there and hitting you with those bombs. Joseph Parker, I don't really know how that fight goes. Parker's gonna try to outbox him and stuff like that, but I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I think it'll be boring. Okay, Hrgovic, I think Hrgovic outboxes Ngannou. You gotta understand the amateur pedigree, and these guys are Olympians and stuff like that. You know, to say Ngannou would just come and beat Hrgovic, you know, I gotta say, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. Hrgovic can fight. Hrgovic's got a chin. Hrgovic's got power. Hrgovic's tall. Hrgovic's got reach. But for Ngannou, he just has to keep working. But my concern here is just, you know, the how the punches are being thrown. You know, now if Ngannou can come over the top with something, because I think Ngannou, you know who I think will be a good trainer for him? Is Robert Garcia. When you got a powerhouse like Ngannou, you got to have the right trainer that teaches you the right selection of punches, knowing that, you know, he can't really come with the punches straight down the pipe, but show him how to throw punches at different angles to where the opponent can't see him. That will give you an advantage, because anything Ngannou hits you with, obviously, is going to hurt. Now, Ngannou against Jared Anderson, I don't know. I don't know. I think that's another one of them 50-50 fights. You know, Jared Anderson can be hurt. And we saw him in there with Charles Martin, and Charles Martin was looking kind of sloppy, kind of like how, I'm not going to say Ngannou looks sloppy, but I think if Martin could be sloppy the way he was and get shots off of Anderson, I think Ngannou can have some success against Anderson as well. Now, we're also talking about a difference in experience level with Anderson only having, you know, 16 fights. But his level of opposition hasn't been that great either. These other guys, you know, have had the extensive amateur backgrounds. Most of them been to the Olympics, but also their experience as a pro. Joe Joyce and Ngannou, that's a very winnable fight for Ngannou, because Joe Joyce is going to be there to be hit. And Ngannou and Joe Joyce would be a very good fight. And Joe Joyce has 2 losses against one person, so that's not bad. But I think that's a winnable fight for Ngannou if they ever make it. But he would get himself in trouble if he can't hurt Joe Joyce, because Joe Joyce is not going to get tired. Frank Sanchez and Ngannou, Frank Sanchez just outboxes him, and that's, I think, humiliates him. Otto Wallin can fight too, but that's a good fight for Ngannou, because Ngannou can absorb punishment, but he can dish it out too. But Wallin is a good fighter as well, so that fight is not easy for Ngannou. All right, and when we start coming down here taking a look at who's ranked here, matter of fact, let's look at the champions. We know Usyk, Fury, Zhang, right? Zhang under the WBO, Usyk, WBO, IBF, WBA, Fury's a WBC. But there's this name, Manuel Char. Don't know how the hell he ended up getting himself in this position, but the secret society is in full effect. Manuel Char sucks. And I'm just going to tell you that. You know, I think he sucks when you compare him to the other heavyweights out there right now. I think Ngannou would get in there and beat Manuel Char if the secret society would ever say, you know what, let's just do what we do best and confuse boxing fans on the decisions being made on who's going to be made an interim champion or a heavyweight champion in a division. I think they make that fight between Char and Ngannou. I think Ngannou beats him. Now Ngannou can become a WBA World Heavyweight Champion. But that's not really how that works. But if it happened, I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing surprised me when it comes to goddamn secret society. But let's look at the names we talk. Andy Ruiz and Ngannou. Come on now, y'all think Ngannou will beat Andy Ruiz? Let's be real now. You know, I'm not saying it can't. I don't think so. But anything's possible. But when I look at it and, you know, I'm take the emotion out of it, just because I feel Ngannou's story, just because I'm rooting for him, I'm not going to take it to the stupid and come out here and say that he beats everybody in the heavyweight division like some of these other bozo McNicholases are doing. That's just not the case. Dubois Ngannou, I think that's a good fight. I think that's a winnable fight for Ngannou. I think Dubois would get in there and his punch resistance is gone. You hits Dubois quits. Simple. He quit against. He almost quit again in that fight he had before he fought Usyk. You know, he almost quit in that fight. He got knocked down like 3 times or something early in the fight, first round or something. But I think Dubois is a very winnable fight for Ngannou. I'd actually favor Ngannou in that fight. David Adelaide, he just lost, but he would never get that fight for Ngannou. Because although we're talking about Ngannou and where he kind of falls in the rack and stack with boxing, he's not on the level of those guys as far as his profile. He has a huge profile. You don't just go from fighting Tyson Fury to now coming and fighting Adelaide. You know, he's going to be looking, because of the following that he brings in his profile. Francis Ngannou, all he needs is like, he don't even have to box no more. The money he made from Tyson Fury, but he get himself 3-4 big fights against big names out there in Saudi and make another 20-30 million per fight. Francis Ngannou doesn't need to fight no more, but I think he's going to have to, because Saudi's not going to let him off the leash that easily. So that being said, as far as how far can he go in boxing, I think it's up to him. I think it's up to him and his trainers. I think it's up to the Saudis and just who they can, you know, bring over to fight him. But I'm going to be honest with you, as far as skill-wise, it's hard to take a guy. I know he started training in boxing before MMA, and that's what he was saying, is people don't realize, you know, how great of a boxer he is. It's because he started that before MMA. But let me tell you something. I'm just going to say that it's hard for me to believe that Ngannou can come now in a short period of time and make up for, you know, 20 years or so of training, 25 years of training that some of these other guys have, because they started fighting as kids, and that he can come down here within a couple of years and just get in there and be able to make better reads than each guys and have his IQ better than them. There's just some things that you just can't possibly know unless you go through it. In addition to that, we're talking about the muscle memory. You know, even me, if I go on a heavy bag, like I was at a gym yesterday, I lifted weights, then I rode over to another gym that has speed bag and heavy bag in there, and I walked in there. And I'm going to tell you, man, you know, like my body just knows what to do. You know, and I'm not no 160 pounds no more, not even 200 pounds no more. I'm 252, you know what I'm saying? But when I get in there front of that heavy bag, my body just knows what to do. You know what I'm saying? I throw that left, because I fight in the southpaw stance. So if I sit there and I throw like a left hook to the body, or like a left uppercut kind of to the body, and then I dip over to the right and throw that right hook, I'm coming upstairs with the right hook, then back with the left hand right hook. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even think about it. Like, it's just, you just react. You know what I'm saying? It's like in basketball. If you're driving and somebody cuts you off, once you feel that contact, you spin. You know what I mean? Like, there's just certain things that you do just from training and repetition that it just happens. And it's kind of the same thing that I'm talking about with these boxers, man. I just think for Ngannou, he gets himself in there with somebody. I just think an experienced guy is just gonna react to something, and we could find Ngannou in trouble unless he gets someone in there like Tyson Fury, who didn't have you know, whatever in his system to give him that surge he needed the second half of the fight, because Fury came in there and stupidly threw a 1-2. Then Ngannou was sitting there downloading, and Ngannou reacted the same way I'm talking about how most fighters will do when you see somebody doing something, you know, and you feel that contact, you react. Tyson Fury's shots obviously weren't that hard, so when he went to throw the second one, Ngannou just reacted. So by the time Tyson Fury's right hand was out there, the left hook from Ngannou, the left hook counter was already coming. There's nothing Tyson Fury could have done. Like, I don't even know if Ngannou meant to do that the way he did, but the timing was just impeccable. Like, he started that left hook after Tyson Fury's jab was thrown. That's when he threw the left hook because he knew the right hand was coming, and the stars just lined up for him. That being said, Ngannou, how far can he go in boxing? I don't know. You know, he could go all the way because he's that strong. You know what I'm saying? You got F.A. Jagba out there who's on top rank. And F.A. Jagba just bubbled up 7 spots in the WBC, you know, and now he's ranked at number 7. You know what I'm saying? So you just never know what's going to happen with Francis Ngannou in his career. But understand this. He's still out there fighting in the PFL and the MMA world. And he could go out there and find himself making the kind of money in MMA that he's making in boxing because he's over there signed to the Saudis. And let me tell you something. He may say, hey, I'm more comfortable in this world. I'm making the same kind of money. But I don't know. I think he has to do what the Saudis say. Because at the end of the day, if they're paying these guys the kind of money they're paying them, you got to do what they tell you to do. So we'll see how all that plays out. But I'm rooting for Francis Ngannou. I think he can make some noise. I think he'll have great moments and a lot of fights. But as far as him coming in there and just beating, you know, all of these guys, to that I got to say we need to hold our horses, not get ahead of ourselves, and let's see what's next. I'm not really giving him a whole lot of credit for the Fury fight. But I got to give him credit for that knockdown. That was beautiful. But as far as the rest of the fight, he showed me that he's trying to be a counterpuncher. He showed me that he's comfortable fighting in the southpaw stance. And he obviously trained. He has patience, and that's great. But what happens when you get in there with somebody like a Wilder, like a Zhang, if those fights ever materialize? You know, what happens when the real deal start with someone who's going to, you know, be setting you up and they can knock you out with one shot? I want to see how he does against that, because Tyson Fury, I just don't think he had his coffee. And I'll leave it as that. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.